What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your weekend forecast for the weekend of September 11th and the 12th of 2021. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Thank you for being here with me. Appreciate you all so much. I hope you had a good week. We're going to see that moon finish up here in Scorpio, make some aspects to Jupiter, the Sun, Neptune, and then finish off on Sunday in Sagittarius. So I feel like we're in a rising of the Phoenix moment in our reality, and dealing with Venus here now in its detriment position of Scorpio. But it's interesting, on Saturday, it is the 20-year anniversary of September 11th. It's just interesting that here we are in the world right now, and that was 20 years. Kind of wild that that's 20 years ago. I definitely remember that. I was going to school in 6th grade, and I remember getting ready in the morning, and I'm on the West Coast, of course, always have been. So that happened at about 7:30 in the morning or so before class. So interesting going through that. I have seen articles pop up online talking about like the person who notified Bush saying that America's at war. It does feel like that, and I've been kind of talking a little bit about war stuff. Not that may or may not come up today. I don't know. It's very interesting. We're seeing, scorpionic energy, so we could be in our own personal lives dealing with fear. Maybe the world's going to show us some sense of fear or some sense of destruction that goes on. We are seeing the sun at 19 degrees, which is a very good manifestation degree. So especially in Virgo here, we can get really down to business, get our hands dirty for certain things that our heart desires to purify and shift things around. We are reaching that opposition to Neptune within 2 degrees and really feeling that this weekend. So, that's kind of a difficult one. I think that could, in some, levels, especially with the moon and Venus in Scorpio, it kind of leaves us vulnerable having that opposition, or overly sensitive, and especially with the moon in trine to that and in sextile to the sun today. It could be a high level of sensitivity that we're feeling about our deep well of emotion, the energies that we really want to hold on to. I think we want to rise up like the Phoenix. I do think we want to embrace sort of our intense side to get through aspects that might show up in our life. But, what is going on? It feels like we're at this moment where anything can kind of show up, for better or for worse. Scorpio is destruction, so we're let's see what happens. Maybe we are having to look in our own personal lives about what we can destroy so that we can manifest something that's of a more pure nature. Neptune can be kind of washing our souls here, so we are kind of vulnerable. But at the same time, I feel like even with the moon in sextile to the sun and in trine to Neptune, this is helping us today. I think it's helping us see the deeper layers of all the realms, of all of our psychic attunements, of our gifts, and having to like intensify those, if you will. So I think we can see through bullshit, but there's also this Neptunian fog of like, well, I think a lot of people are going to see through something if something crazy pops up in the world, but a lot of people are not. A lot of people are going to get swept away by the fear. So we're in that kind of a tipping point too. We'll see. Personal life, this can be an empowering spiritual time of manifesting a reality that's spiritually on the level of depth that you're meant to be on right now. So I think it goes both ways. I don't necessarily think that this day is a bad day at all. I think we're just it just feels, it's an interesting time, looking at the dates and the anniversary and the, our two like, feel good energies, really our moon with our personal life and our emotions, and then Venus really like how we attract in what feels good and how we look at ourselves and how we love ourselves and what we have the capacity to build. It's in this kind of dark place of going through this transformation. So we might be kind of going into some darker areas in our own personal life, but it's through that darkness, or through whatever shows up, even just on a small scale. If nothing happens in the world, we still have to like look at our own, shadow maybe, and see the purification in that shadow and see like how we can go in there and transmute energy. So I think a lot of Saturday is really about the transmutation of fear. So kind of really becoming an alchemist, as we do have a lot of fixed energy in the chart with the moon, Venus, Saturn, Jupiter, and Uranus. The moon will come off of an opposition to Uranus. It was late last night, early this morning, depending on where you are. So we didn't. I mean, if you're in the Americas, you probably didn't get much of that. Maybe on other parts of the world, you felt a little bit more of that emotional shakeup in your creative abilities and who you're relating with, finding empowerment. I mean, that's one upside to this is we can really find empowerment in our feminine energies of the creation and the manifestation that we desire. And we're going to see that moon also square Jupiter today. So, wow, we're dealing with a lot of deep beliefs, and I think a deep psychological feeling of how we can really connect to our empowerment and, get out of what is holding us back in life. So we have to believe in a future that matches the depth of our soul. And I think that that's important, and people lining up with that is important too. It's interesting looking at Venus, like it's really not aspecting anything, like with major aspects. So it's kind of just chilling there in Scorpio. I think that amplifies the intensity on just our values. So very interesting. And I've been talking about like financial stuff, and we're gonna have to pay attention and see what goes on. Hopefully, you're in a position, at least within yourself, to feel secure, to feel like you can build right now, or have partnerships, friends, groups of people that have your back. I think, there's a lot of benefit just in that kind of rising up together. So I think a lot of us are rising up together, and I think that that's beautiful. And the moon will also make a sextile over to Pluto. So more of that very Plutonian aspect, especially with Pluto ruling Scorpio and being the dispositor of that moon. I think there's positivity in the transmutation. And it's the transmutation of our physical world and the manifestation of this purity and this reality that's going into that depth. And we're going to start to see the sun start working on that trine over to Pluto too, which gives us an amazing amount of power to identify with the reality our soul does want to build. So mixed with the Neptune opposition, it's just like, geez, we're either in a fog and in a trance right now by what's going on in the world, or I think we're really feeling like Spirit's putting us in these places right now to make decisions on how we can transmute reality for our benefit and for our empowerment. And we're seeing Mercury at 15 degrees of Libra. It's, kind of in that midpoint of the trine over to Jupiter and Saturn, which I think is an important point in the chart. But other than that, and coming off the quincunx to Uranus, like, yeah, I mean, it can be a little weird trying to understand how to find balance in the collective, within other people. And I don't think we can have it all figured out. Like, I think we're going to see weird things come up in our lives, in our personal lives, or in the world. And I mean, do we really have to try and figure out where these people are coming from, or do we just have to know what's beautiful and what's empowering and what's pure in our own lives? And, maybe just being in that place, but being open to having compassion. I do think we want to have compassion, of course, for other people, but we still got to like stay focused. And I think there's something about today that's like staying focused on your direction and what's really like the fixed energy in your life, what's really holding you in a place of power right now, and not letting other people's opinions or what happens in the world kind of shift you out of that powerful place. So deep dive on Saturday for sure. And then we come into Sunday, and we're going to see the sun come to 20 degrees, and it's 1 degree away from the opposition to Neptune. And I think that it's an extremely emotional day on Sunday. If there's something weird that goes down on the anniversary of September 11th, like Sunday's where we feel it the deepest. So, and if nothing happens, it could just be aspects that show up in your personal life that, I mean, we are ultra sensitive to everything right now, and that leaves us in a vulnerable position, especially dealing with how to figure out our reality and how to figure out what we want out of reality. And Mars is coming to 28 degrees, so it's just like we could be angry that reality doesn't look the way we want it to look. Like, gosh, I want reality to look this certain particular way, and it's not showing up that way. And I'm super sensitive and emotional about it. And I mean, that can come up, but again, moon comes into Sagittarius on Sunday, and that's where we have to rise up. That that cusp right there between Scorpio and Sagittarius really is the phoenix rising into the expanse, because we did a deep dive, we found that empowerment, and now we can expand upon that and those good feelings. And the moon's going to be with the south node, and I think that that in itself, gives us some sense of comfort, but only if we're feeling like we're connecting to something in our personal life that is taking us and like aiming us in the direction that we want to really go in. Remember, it is in opposition to the north node, of course, too. So we still want to look at the facts and pay attention. Mercury is in shadow, of course, and Mercury's really slowing down. Let's do a speed check. Mercury's going 1 degree, 1 minute a day. And Venus is slowing down too, 1/8. So Venus is going to go retrograde December 19th in Capricorn. So Venus is going to start slowing down from here on out. And then September 26th, we have that Mercury retrograde. So, being in that shadow with Mercury too, it's like we're going to have to come back and figure all this out again. So it's not like we have to have it all figured out. We still want to be curious. We don't want to get too just stuck in a belief, whether it's a belief of what we're being told or our own beliefs. We need to stay open to mutability and change, and see where Spirit's really guiding you with the opposition to Neptune. And not just like feel completely in space or in fog or just disconnected from reality. And the moon will also make good aspects to Saturn with a sextile, and it'll trine over to Chiron in Aries on Sunday as well. So I think people, and linking up with tribe that's in that same sort of spiritual belief, especially with Saturn at 7, or have that same sort of structure of where reality can expand to and how we can rise up together. So there's a lot of people that want to rise up together right now. There's a lot of that energy out there, but there's a lot of people that want to just stay in that darkness. And Venus is going to show, I think, really like who wants to be in the dark and who wants to be in the light, as it's not aspecting anybody. So I think it's very obvious when it comes to things right now, like what do we really want to connect to with other people? What's expanding? How do we rise up and really empower ourselves and aim our soul in the direction that does make the most sense long term? We got to show up too. And I think that it's, showing up for the beauty in life, showing up for the expanse, and not getting lost or just stuck in a belief or too fixated on certain aspects of what reality was, but what it can be. And I think we have a lot to learn this weekend. So it's a big growth weekend. I think we do grow a lot, but I think we do have that empowerment. And the sun starting to trine over to Pluto is a big help, coming off this opposition to Neptune that we're in right now. We're going to have a lot of drive. We're going to have a lot of can-do to accomplish and go after our desires and to whatever those little things are to harvest this reality. We're going to be able to get in there and really figure it out. But we have to be willing to expand and grow coming into Sunday and coming into next week. We're just in much more intense times and building up to a full moon in Pisces, which is... it's going to be ultra sensitive too, but it's a good weekend, I think, for individuals. I think we can find so much strength in our life and the connections that are powerful and what's fortifying and matches with the deepest essence of ourselves. Those are crucial aspects in life right now. Got to embody that and not get swept away with whether it's propaganda or outdated beliefs or outdated structures. Remember, we're on so many cusps. We're going into a lot of new territory that we've never experienced before. So we want to be open to that. These experiences are going to be so good for us, especially as we're awake and seeing clearly and feeling that calling, you're gonna get through everything just fine. I think it's a very intense weekend. A lot can go down, but we'll see. And yeah, sending you my best. Let's see what the card is for the weekend. Judgment. Yeah, trumpets blazing. There's a call right now, and it's trying to really like resurrect us, right? They're getting resurrected, of course, in this card. So I think that's a lot of this weekend's energy. I think we're really getting a resurrection in our lives, whether it's just personal or whether we see it in the world and have to react to whatever's going on. It seems like this is our soul taking a major leap upward, for the calling, and whatever that may be, and show up for in your own personal life, to shift and mold things and be mutable, and really alchemize and transmute reality. So I think there's a big calling this weekend, because the trumpets are going to be blazing somewhere, whether it's just for you or out there. And are we hearing the sound of God, or are we hearing the sound of the devil? And that may be something to consider. Love you all so much. Hope you have a blessed weekend, and I will see you for the weekly forecast, the tarot, and on Monday for next week. Looking forward to seeing you. Take care. Peace.